Hello Tinkerers! Hopefully today you're ready to fly off to the stars. Today we're going to try and build a cartoon rocket. What do I mean by a cartoon rocket? I mean this sort of type of rocket. A rocket that looks like this kind of ovally shaped rocket in 3D. I've got another one here and it's got these kind of nice legs to kind of go with it. So how am I going to do that? Well, I could start in basic shapes and I could add a cone on top of a cylinder, or what I love is one of my favourite shapes is in creatures and characters, and it is the egg shape. And if I grab this egg shape, it doesn't much look like a rocket at the moment, but if I take the top of it and stretch it, how about that? Is that looking like a rocket body? Stretch a little bit more. 145 is a nice number. Then holding shift, I could scale it down a bit because I don't want it too big on my work plane. And there you go, I've got my rocket body. Now my rocket needs to be off the ground a little bit because it's going to have some rockets under it later, so let's move it 20 off the ground. So there you go. Easy as that. Using an egg, I've got my rocket body. Okay, now let's get on to the harder bits, making some legs. Now there's loads of different ways we could make legs, and there's loads of different styles, and I'm going to hopefully show you a few, and then you can maybe create your own. But what I'm actually going to start with is taking my body and making mini versions of them. So take that, go to the top left hand corner and duplicate, pull it out, and there's my duplicate. Let's put this back down the ground, so I bring it all the way back down because my legs don't kind of go off the ground. And then I can shrink this down, hold shift, and it scales everything at once. And I'm going to make it nice and easy. Here you are, 10. I've got a nice rocket leg, so similar to this one, isn't it? And obviously I'm going to have 4 of them, but all I'm going to do is really focus on one to start off with. So I don't want a rounded bottom, so I want a nice flat bottom. So how could I do that? Well, I can bring it down so it's nicely sitting, work out where I want it to be sat. I reckon about there. And then I can go back to my basic shapes, grab a hole and a big box and cover this up. So it's covered up. And then I grab the top and pull it all the way down so it goes underneath. There we go. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off that bottom to give it a nice clean base, so it's got a nice stand because I don't want my rocket falling over. So once I've got them, I select them both, hold, drag a red box over them and select them both, and then I can group them, and if I group them then it cuts the bottom off my rocket, and there you go, I've got my rocket leg. Another little thing I like to do is I like to have a nice little base plate, and I can create that by using a diamond. How am I going to create that using a diamond? Well, it's got a very pointy edge, but what it's got is this lovely top bit, and I could make that as a nice footplate. So I just want to get rid of the bottom bit of the diamond. So again, grab a hole in my box, make it nice and big so it covers up my diamond, and then I bring it down so it just has the top of the diamond out of the top of it. And then again, click, select them both. I can either do that by a red box or by holding shift. Group them together, and there you go. I've got a nice little base plate. Move that down to the ground because that's going to be on my ground. There you go, it's on 0, so I know it's on the ground. Let's bring them two together. So click on one, hold shift, click on the other. Go to the align tool in the top right hand corner and align them in the center, and then the center again. There you go, it looks like my diamond's slightly too big, so just click on it, hold shift, and let's bring it down a touch so it nicely fits on. There you go, I think that's a lot better. And then I can hold shift, select them both again. Let's go back to the align tool and align them again. In the middle. Oh, that's looking like a really cool foot for my rocket. Excellent. Okay, so I've got my rocket. I'm going to group them together to make them nice and easy because I'm happy with them. So I've got them grouped. I need to align them with the body of a rocket, so select them both and go select and just align them in the middle there. So I've got them nice and lined up, so it's kind of about right. It's kind of where I want them. Now then, I just need to make this joining plate between the two rockets. So I'm just going to grab a box, I'm going to put it roughly in the right place, and then I'm going to kind of move it across, and then I'm going to have it so it kind of goes between the two, and then it's obviously too wide at the moment, so a nice easy way to select that is select one of those, click on the numbers, I reckon about 2, because I want a nice thin body between each one. I mean, I don't want it too thick, I want it nice and thin, so let's bring it all the way down to about 10. That's looking quite nice. And then how do I change the angle of that? Well, of course I grab onto these arrows, and I can hold shift. Remember, if I hold shift it turns it by 45. Is 45 a nice angle? I might have it. Yeah, it's looking good for me. And let's see if I can then position that in the right place. So let's move it across. So I'm going to grab them all, So I'm selecting them all, and then I'm going to align them, and I'm going to align them on just that plane. So we've brought them all into a nice line, yeah? This align tool makes my life a lot easier when I'm moving things around, and then I just bring this up so it nicely looks like it fits. And then it's going to be sticking out this end, so I just want to bring that across. There we go. That's looking pretty good. If it sticks out the other side, but it can do, so if you get it and it kind of sticks out a little bit out the other side, that's not a problem if you particularly like that, because you can always just grab another whole box. You can just bring it over that one. It doesn't matter if it covers your base foot. You can then select both the box and the stanchion leg, and then if you group them, then it just cuts off that bit of a leg, doesn't it? And it doesn't affect anything you haven't selected. And there you go. I'm kind of quite happy with how my leg is looking from my angles. Yeah. So from all the angles. If I'm unhappy, I can just go back to undo and undo. Get rid of that box, and I can just go back to adjusting my leg using my arrow keys. Actually, I'm very happy with that. From all angles, make sure you look at it from all angles. It's not sticking out any side. So if I'm happy with that, I'm going to select them all, group them all together, and then I've got my first leg. So I'm going to have 4 legs on my rocket. That's my first one. So actually selecting that, and what am I going to do? I'm going to duplicate again in the top left hand corner. Duplicate it. Remember, one has appeared there, so I'm going to flick that round to the other side. So flick it all the way around, so it's facing away. Then I can either hold shift, so it brings it along one plane. Remember, holding shift brings it along one plane, and then I can look at it from this angle, and I can work out getting it just right. Use my arrow keys maybe to adjust it. There we go. That's looking brilliant. My rocket's looking nice and stable there. So now I'm happy with that one. I'm also happy with that one, so hold shift, let's select them both. Let's group them together, so I'm happy with them too. And then I'm going to duplicate them. And then there is do there, and I'm going to spin that one round 90. There you go, holding shift on that arrow key, and there you go. I've shifted it round, and I've got my 4 legs to my rocket. My rocket is looking pretty stable there, and I'm very happy with how that's looking. If I'm happy with how it's looked, let's just group them all together. So means I'm using all them objects, and I'm happy with all them objects. Now, keep them all together, keeps them nice and secure. One thing I am missing, going back to my original picture, is a rocket at the bottom of my rocket. So how am I going to do that? Well, I do have in my basic shapes, I have this shape called a paraboloid. That is definitely a rocket booster shape. So get my rocket booster. Now I could just stick it on like that. I could also do something where I've selected that, I duplicate again, so there's now 2 of them in that space. One of them I'm going to make, or one I've got selected at the moment, is I'm going to make a hole. And I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to, it's 20 at the moment, I'm going to bring it down, so my hole is going to shrink down. Let's bring it down to 16 each way. I'm holding shift, so it's scaling everything in the same proportion. Thing is, it's gone slightly off center. Yeah, if you look at it from the bottom, it's gone slightly off center. So I'm going to select them both. I can do it from below, holding that, making that red box over both of them, or holding shift. Use my align tool. I can align it from the base as well. Align and align. There you go. And you can kind of see how my hole is now in the center of my rocket. Let's select them both again. If I group them 2, it's going to cut out a nice little hole. And there you go. I've got my booster rocket. It looks precisely the same from the top, because obviously my booster's from. But if I've got my rocket from below, I've actually kind of got that rocket booster look from below as well. And then I can align it with this. So select it again, select my rocket. Let's align again, align in the middle, and align in the middle. There we go, and I've got my rocket right below my body of my rocket, and then I just need to bring it up into where I'm happy with. There we go, I'm happy with that. Look at that. That is looking pretty good, tinkerers. As I say, you can do it however you want, but that's a really nice, simple way to make a cartoon rocket in TinkerCAD. And what you can start to then do, like I say, I've grouped it all together. I could select it and group them all together, but I could also start to play with colours. So I obviously want to make it a nice dark rocket booster. If I then ungroup all these, there you go, and you can kind of see how my hole is now in the centre of my rocket. Let's select them both again. If I group them 2, it's going to cut out a nice little hole. And then I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to bring it down. So my hole is going to shrink down a little bit. And then if I group them 3, it's going to cut out a nice little hole. And there you go. I've got my rocket booster. Let's hold shift, and I'm going to bring it down. So my hole is now in the center of my rocket. Make sure I've ungrouped all of them. There we go. I could have my rocket leg extensions red. I could change my body. What colour would I like my body? Am I going to have a nice red rocket to go with my nice body? And then what colour legs? I actually quite like white legs, but then I'm going to have just a black. Oh, they're still grouped. If they change all at once, that means they're grouped. So I can just go to undo. I can ungroup them. There we go. Each one of them still grouped, isn't it? I can tell because they're all turning back into diamonds. But I don't want these blue bottoms, so I can change all these to a nice black. There we go. This is all just about the look in TinkerCAD. That is looking fantastic, team. Well, as I say, I'm going to leave the rest to you. What you could start to do is obviously you could add features to your actual main body of your rocket. You could add like NASA have their name across the top. You can put your name on. You could obviously put a window in. However you want. You can make the top a bit pointier. But for me, I am happy with that, and I'll let you do the finer details. Good luck, tinkerers!